Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to a segment of heart activation called Astro Tarot. In this, I dive through the astrology of what's going on and helping you to understand astrology more, helping you to understand how astrology is affecting us at an individual level and at a collective level. I use tarot and oracle cards along with the archetypes and symbols to be able to present to you how we can connect the outside world to our inner world. As we dive deep into this, you learn how to use these symbols, colors, and numbers as the way that the universe, spirit, God, whomever you'd like to call it, an amazing force outside of us is able to guide us to the internal self. So, each of these videos goes through a teaching of the astrology that is going on, and also teachings through the archetypes of the tarot and oracle cards, along with chakras, numbers, colors. It's really a very beautiful thing. So I hope that you enjoy this process and that you are able to look internally and be able to take what you need and leave the rest, as each of these are general readings for the collective. They will not resonate with everyone. And this is really, you can listen to them at any time and really just gain a lot of learning about all of the archetypes through astrology, through the tarot and oracle cards. So if you are new to my channel, thank you so much for tuning in. I would appreciate it and totally love it if you hit the subscribe button, and if you would feel guided to also interact, like, share, comment. Any interactions with my channel helps for the channel to get to where it needs to go on the algorithm. So, again, thank you so much for being here, and let's get to it. Welcome, love rebels, beautiful beings. Elaine with Heart Activation, here to do a lunar energy update. In today's video, we'll be looking at the Libra solar eclipse happening October 14th at, I believe, 1:14 p.m. Eastern. Check your time zone for that correct time. And what this means is the solar eclipse will give an illusion that the sun is on fire. So it literally will give a ring of fire type of vibe where you can look at the sun and see how things line up. The moon is a micro moon, meaning that it micro, meaning very small. And so give this will give the illusion that the sun has a fire around this. So this is there's some really fascinating energies that are coming up here. So this is, I don't even remember. I think this is I'm trying to remember which, one second. Okay. So this is the first Libra eclipse in 9 years. And we want to look at this, what has happened over the past 9 years. Libra is the sign of the other. Libra is the seventh sign of the zodiac. It is the sign that rules over relationships. And when I say relationships, I don't mean relationship like romantic relationships. Like it isn't just contained to that. It is any, like, a business partnership, friendships, family ships, any type of relationships. Now, it's Libra, like I said, it is a connection to the other. So now this is more so where we're feeling out how we interact with others. This is also about legal contracts. This is about decision making, choices we have. This is figuring out how we are in relationship to others, is basically what it comes down to. So, because when we tend to focus on the other, things can get really backwards and very askewed, meaning that we tend to focus on the other and it's never about the other. It's always in relation to us, meaning that we want to when we find ourselves in relationship issues, we want to bring it back to self because when we focus on the other, we don't have control of the other, right? We want to feel like we have some sort of control in the other, and we reach out and grasp and want to blame others, and that's not necessarily that doesn't work. So if we are wanting something different within our relationships, we do need to look inward and heal the past wounds that had brought us to the point of seeing and seeking out these things. Okay, how this is coming through is the relationship issues that are being brought up at this time are actually we seek out relationships that represent the wounded relationships from our childhood. So, if we had a messed up childhood relationship with a caregiver, we will continuously bring in that dynamic until we learn how to balance that energy out within ourselves. So, every person that we bring in romantically, per se, it could be, but typically the romantic relationships are ones that help to bring out our most hurtful traits within us in order for us to heal it out. So for me, I had continuously brought in emotionally unavailable people. And until I myself, like I looked inward to find out like where I was not being emotionally available to myself. And that might sound ridiculous because I felt I was like I'm super emotional, available. I'm not, but however, I was projecting, like I was clinging on to people. I was holding on too tightly where I didn't need to hold on to. I was overstepping my boundaries. And like that is very, that blocks out a receiving of love, of feeling nurtured. So there it's everything as a spectrum. So there's the emotionally avoidant people who just don't give anything, and then there's the emotional anxious people, the where they cling and they give and they overstep their boundaries, and that both the same. This person is afraid to commit and this person is afraid to commit. It just shows up differently. So it's again, it's the spectrum and it's harmonizing. This Libra eclipse is like going to be harmonizing out where this is showing up in your life. However that looks for you. And so for me, relationship after relationship needed to show up in different ways. But the underlying theme of them all was like they're emotionally avoidant people. And it came down to looking at the core of where my attachment style came in. So, yes, attachment style is coming in very strongly for the collective energies. I am going to bring up here, like, I have a mentorship program that I am offering at this time. It is a very intimate relationship with each other. This is where you get access to my 133-page blueprint healing manual, and we go through that, and there is an intermediate involvement and there is a intense involvement. You have access to this 133-page manual. And there are payment arrangements available. Just message me and you can also look at heart activation. But that really points out how we even became into relation dynamics from the get-go. Okay, so some of the energies that are coming forward: do all things in moderation, count your blessings. I don't like it. to be honest. So do all things in moderation. Yeah. I mean, that really points out, right, like the harmonizing, because everything can be a really black and white thinking in our society. So it's learning to be present and to validate everything that shows up, because it's we live in a gray world. It's not black or white, right or wrong, yes or no, good or bad. It's, like I said, it's a spectrum of things. It's the whole experience. So counting your blessings, why do I struggle with that? I feel like when people are like, "Oh, count your blessings," like that could really bring up a level of shame. And it's not about that. It's recognizing that everything is relative. Like our pain, there's not a competition. And also, there is so much to be grateful for. And also, like if we learn to shift our perspective, that some of the painful things that we experience, especially within relationships, are everything is to direct us back to self. Everything is meant for us to learn a different way. Not that we are faulty, not that anybody's like a bad person. It's just we were never taught how to live. So I feel like this is like I don't want to say a confusing time. It's just like, how do we find the balance? Libra is about balancing the scales. And honestly, for me, the only way that I learned how to balance the scales was like by having it go completely out of whack. So if things go completely awry, I feel like that's very okay. And the compassion that comes up from that is that's where we learn to have that for ourselves. Is like within compassion for ourselves. And there's no blame game. There is no putting blame on others is almost like we're saying we don't trust God or the universe or whatever you resonate with. Because if you can resonate with that everyone shows up within our reality for a purpose, for that everyone shows up to bring us back to self, that I feel right now, I feel truly grateful for all of those very difficult and fucked up relationships that I had, because it was an opportunity for me to go deep within and learn how to be there for myself. So let's see what else we have coming forward. Okay, the victim mentalities. That is the playing the blame game here. So how this can show up is this prevents playing the victim for positive feedback in the forms of pity, inability to maintain personal boundaries. So this would be the shadow aspect of this, again, because it's a spectrum. What could be showing up would be like, again, the blaming. Like, this person continues to treat me wrong, or this person continues to hurt me, and you're not drawing the boundaries and sticking to them. It is very difficult to draw boundaries, especially when you come from a traumatized place. However, like learning the core of why we continue to allow the boundaries to not be drawn is essential. So just looking at things in a bigger perspective, and like when we put forth the energy of like, this person continues to do this to me, we get this positive feedback like, oh, I'm so sorry you're going through that. And I'm so sorry. You're such a great person, blah, blah, blah. There's a positive reinforcement within that. So what are you getting from not drawing the boundaries? You know, are you afraid to move beyond what you are known? Because typically this is probably a relationship dynamic that has happened over and over again, right? Then another way is, okay, so when we are able to step out of the victim mentality, we are able to see where people were able to stand strong for others in a way. We're able to empower others. We're able to be like, yeah, you feel oppressed in this situation, yet look at, not necessarily count your blessings, but let's look at it differently. Like, my biggest oppressive relationship was ultimately the power to my empowerment. That was the portal to my that was the portal to my whole strength, really. Okay, so another thing here coming up. Oh, okay. So God. So the shadow aspect of the God is cruelty using power to control people, despotism. So this would be like when people, and I see this within the spirituality realm, right? So this would be like occult leaders, really. This is using people's fear, using people's fear, like using the wrath of hell or the wrath of God. Right. So hanging something over people's heads. So it's an ultimatum, basically. You have a hierarchy in some way, or you have something on another, using that to manipulate and control people. Blackmailing. Okay, so for me, like, I have done that before for sure. Like, I have felt wronged in a way, and that I have used that then in the future as a way to treat them or manipulate or use like a past situation to like ensue guilt. I have actually done that with my mother recently. It's very, and I didn't recognize it until it happens. That's a really difficult thing for me to admit to. However, it shows up like just because it has such a strong God. It doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means that somewhere you feel you have entitlement. So you recognize also that you have this internal power. You do have a way with things. Like you can have that empowerment, not a power over people. You have a power within you to be able to empower others. And the next energy that's showing up, Prince. So the shadow attribute coming up, using power for self aggrandize. I don't even know what that means. So what I feel, actually, this is the Prince, meaning romanticism, wanting the fantasy of the prince coming to save us, or however that is. Romanticizing what that looks like versus what it actually is. Charismatic. So I what I'm seeing here is the romantic charm and potential for power. So all of this it's really interesting because it has to do with power. Libra, again, I'm coming back to the scales. So it's justice, but it's like internal justice. It's divine justice. It's evening out the scales. So karma is also a thing that can come up with this because not only is karma just what we see like right in front of us, it's about the whole plethora of energy within dimensional realities. Okay. Now I'm being shown like the ripple effect. So whatever type of energy we put out. So if we are putting out, like, this person's doing this to me, like, that will attract more of that. We do need to validate, okay, let's look at these actions. And also, how can I switch things internally in order to change that ripple effect? Okay. So this would be when we feel that we are a victim, we do want to use our power, our over people. We want to use this as a way to force others into doing some things, or like we don't have external power. It's all within. We can have the illusion of power by taking and giving things, right? So taking and giving things would be like withholding sex, withholding love, withholding affection, withholding presence, your being present, giving gifts, giving more affection, giving of that that's an external power. And so giving more or withholding of that is an absolute manipulation. Now, use it if we use that inward and learn how to shift things from the internal realm, it is very that is when our karma begins to balance out. So karma isn't, oh, that person will get theirs or that person will get theirs. It's you got whatever's coming to you type thing where it's not actually like that. and actually wishing bad karma on others is not like that will come back to you because that's the energy that's putting out. Once we begin to just bring everything back inward and not as a way to diminish ourselves, diminish what we are experiencing, not to invalidate anything emotional because it's both, it's everything. Yes, these situations are fucked up. And also, let's see how this even started. Because honestly, the layers of all of this is generational. This isn't right. And I say this often this didn't start with you. Like you really, and the people that we connect with, it didn't start with them. We had been taught to perpetuate the same thing. We have really no idea what the hell a healthy relationship looks like, right? Like I will say this repeatedly, I do not have relationship answers. What I do know is how to bring everything back to self. I have worked on self mastery for not that long, 4 years, and it has 6 years, but really bringing it back to self within the last 4 years. And this is really when everything started to shift. Yeah, we have the potential, we have these powers available within us, not externally from us. So, let's take a look at what type of energies, like values, belief systems are being brought up within this lunar cycle how can we bring this back to self? How? Contribution. To put forth your energy to be a part of bringing things about. Shared creation, making a lasting contribution to the world. Okay, okay, got it. So this is like how I was able to change my victim mentality from being oppressed is using that fucking pain and into a purpose point, into my passion. Obviously, listen to me, but I feel so passionate about this. I see this as it is a blessing for the greater good, right? Like I use my oppressive things to build an awareness to things that have brought shame, discrimination, nope, not that. Stigmas to others and to be able to add value to others. So I feel like that is a lot of us that feel oppressed and stigmatized are meant to bring this to a light to free others at a bigger scale, but yet it still begins with us. So, what is another way to start looking within? Wonder. Get curious. Yes. Get curious about the pain. Get curious how this started. Get curious on how the hell do we change these things? So, to have a life full of wonder, a feeling of surprise, astonishment, and amazement mingled with admiration caused by something beautiful, unexpected, unfamiliar, or inexplicable. To think or dream practically about what is possible because anything is possible. Like the possibilities are limitless when you take other people out of the situation, meaning we will forever be held back when we point fingers at others, meaning when we bring it inwards to ourselves, to how we can learn to shift the perspective of our relationships, learn to shift within us what we like codependency when we learn to freaking bring it back to self and like how did this happen, we really there's so many things, like everything becomes magical once I started connecting the dots to my past. Once I started learning about my mom and my mom's mom and my dad's, once I started learning about all those things, I was like, damn, this makes so much sense. And it made a lot of the things that I find very, I don't know how to make sense of some of the things. It made sense. Like it started bringing wonder and magic to everything. All right, let's get another card as to like how we can bring it back to stuff. Resourcefulness. So using like learning more. So this would be using people that have the resources, and I will plug myself here again. I have this innate ability to connect with people, and I have so many resources. It's so cool. It's so cool. This is like being able to know, and a lot of times, like when we are healing past issues, we don't even know where to look, right? Like, where do I even begin? Yeah, it can be overwhelming. And so that is where knowing the right people, and I'm that person that knows those people, that it's really helpful. Being able to go to people that know what we're talking about, to be able to find things or solutions for myself and overcoming any possible problems that might arise, to have the ability to think creatively and on spot to overcome problems, to make do with what is available, to create a solution, to be self assured, imaginative, persistent, proactive, see and make use of opportunities and any and all resources available to me. So beautiful. Let's get a card for guidance. The journey of love, oracle. Card for guidance, beauty. Let's read what it says. To celebrate the divine feminine is to honor her beauty, her endless bounty and abundant creativity. You are a vehicle of her beauty. This is the radiance that has nothing to do with soul destroying cultural stereotypes based on physical appearances. It is the radiance that comes from feeling beautiful within, of allowing all that you are to shine through you and be witnessed in the world. You are being asked to let the inner beauty become one with your physical self. You do not have to change the way you look to become more of the divine beauty that you are. You just need to change the way you look at yourself. Behold the divine within you. You are in the process of healing past wounds about your appearance, your body, and your sexuality. Finding purity in all of yourself and becoming ready to share that with others in a deeper and more open way, without the shame or self criticism. Take your time and fall in love with what you are. Then you can become not the victim of others' own projected shame, but love necessary for the shame of the world to heal. This oracle indicates a significant change in self-perception taking place within you, an ability to love and accept yourself more completely than you ever have before. Quite simply because you have grown and there is more divinity awakened within your heart than ever before. The nature of the divine is love, and you are realizing that you don't have to change to be beautiful. Allow this development to grow swiftly and embrace your uniqueness, beloved. You are an exquisite flower in the heavenly garden. How many times I've looked in your eyes and sailed away beyond my dreams to a sheltered thought on a quiet beach where the sand is soft as flour. You may never know this place, and someday when you look in my eyes, I will tell you. That is absolutely so perfect, as that just brought in everything here. So the power comes within. You are healing yourself in a way that you had never before. So again, I'm sending so much love to everyone.